Dear Gregory, it's an honor to speak to you about your career as a violinist and
you too.
Also as a teacher. You have been a full-time concertmaster, a full-time chamber musician, you are a soloist and full-time professor also. Do you have any preference, something you like the best?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Well, I consider myself, of course, very lucky having been able to experience the world of music from so many different angles. I started off being a full-time professor, and then I felt like I wanted to experience more of the professional performing world. And so I was fortunate enough to get a full-time quartet position and then a concertmaster position as well. And throughout all of that, I continued teaching as well, of course. But what I find is that teaching and performing, for me and for many of my colleagues too, I know, really go hand in hand. Because when I perform, I'm able to gain first-hand knowledge of what it's like to stand in front of a big orchestra playing the Tchaikovsky concerto, or standing in a big church playing Bach's Chaconne. And often I gain insights or new ideas which I couldn't have gained through just explaining things in a more theoretical manner. And I think also being a teacher, I'm able to analyze things and meet new problems, which I then can apply to my own playing, of course. And teaching thus makes me a better performer, and performing makes me a better teacher, I think. So I think they're wonderful, both are wonderful aspects of being a musician, simply put.
Mm. You know, your CDs have been nominated for different prizes like Grammy, also CD of the Month in the Strad, and especially this your Grieg playing really was amazing, because in Norway this is a little bit over repertoire because Grieg is Norwegian. We always teach and play this, but in your recording, it's so nice, this singing, your singing sound, this vibrato. Do you have any exercises, or can you explain a little bit how you can have this nice singing sound in your violin?
Oh, that's a great question. I think when it comes to sound, what's very important is to have a clear idea of what you want. I've really come to believe that the body is a genius. And if you have a clear vision of what you want, your body will eventually figure out a way to do it. And so one of the things I did is I listened a lot to recordings, and that helped me figure out what I really loved and what I didn't like as much. And I tried to really hone in on what I really enjoyed and what I really loved, and then I had to figure out a way to make my body do the correct motions so to get as close to that sound as possible. And of course I did a variety of vibrato exercises. Number one, keeping the vibrato very regular, always starting from the pitch, going below, and then returning to the pitch. And most importantly, being able to vary the vibrato. You don't want just one kind of vibrato, but you want one vibrato for when you want to make a very passionate, very exciting sound. You want another type of vibrato when you want to make a more poignant, more intimate sound. And so that's very important to also practice in your vibrato.
It could be nice that we could listen a little bit to this Grieg.
Oh,
is this okay for you?
I would love that. Absolutely. Thank you.
adjust your vibrato after the mental intention or what you feel, and and also combine this with your technical exercise, of course. So this is very interesting, how vibrato put the personal stamp on everything we do.
Absolutely. And that's what I meant by you have to have a clear image, and then you just have to be so determined that your body will eventually figure out a way to do that.
Exactly. I have been visiting you in the US many times, and I see your work with your students. I must say it's something that really catch my focus, and that is your ability to make this nice, safe atmosphere for every student. This is very different from my experience with my teacher, often the authoritarian style of master teaching. So I love this atmosphere that you are able to create, and also your ability to be equal, nice to all of them. So I think all your students have this feeling that they are the most important in a way. Can you tell me a little bit how you build it, or if you are conscious about this atmosphere that you are building?
Well, like you, I also had teachers who were where I used to be afraid to come into lessons, because if I didn't do exactly what they wanted, they would scream, or they would put me down somehow. And I didn't feel I learned that much from that style of teaching. And I had one teacher in Sweden who was really wonderful in that I felt so cared and so loved for by him. And that inspired me to want to practice more. And that inspired me to really want to be my best. And so I think because the student-teacher relationship is so special, I think, in music. If you want to go to the university and study medicine, you will be in a lecture room with 150 other people, yeah, and your professor will lecture in the front, and you might see him once during an office hour, and that might be it. But in what we do, we see students one-on-one every week in a closed room. And so the student has to feel safe, the student has to feel very cared and loved. I think that's very important. And I want the students to know that I will do everything I can to help them, and that I sincerely care about the progress. And not only their progress, but about how they're doing as people as well. Yeah, so I think, of course, technical exercises are very important. Etudes, repertoire. And from that I learned a lot from teachers like Sakar Braun, who were able to tell me exactly how to practice everything, exactly how fast to draw the bow, exactly what speed to vibrate on every note. Just a fantastically detailed teacher. I'll never forget one experience I had with him when I had to play a very difficult passage in tenths from a Paganini Caprice, which I couldn't quite do. And he was able to come up with an exercise, and after I did this exercise for 5 minutes, I was able to play the passage perfectly. And that's also an aspect of teaching I find fascinating, to see exactly what does that student need, so that he can achieve the kind of perfection he wants.
Yes. I also admire your ability to show everything. You're not the violin in the case and then speaking, but you are really active during your teaching process, and this I think is very important. Perhaps you have inherited some of the Sakar Braun's ideas or ability also. Another thing, it's Beethoven.
And I remember that Sakar Braun was so always so inspiring. I was so inspired by how he was able to demonstrate everything, and that made me always think, if he can do it, well then I can do it too. And I want the students to have that feeling about me, that I can show them how I think it should be played, or my idea, and then the student can think to themselves, well, if Gregory can do it, surely I can do it too, and Gregory will show me exactly how to do it. And I think that's part of helping the student to stay inspired too. Not only because inspiration is very, very important when wanting to learn the violin, continual inspiration. Both through, of course, recordings of the great masters, going to great concerts, having regular goals as well, but also having a teacher that can inspire you and hold your foot to the fire when it gets tough and really keep you on track for your own goals.
I can understand your students are winning so many prizes and into leading position in the orchestra, and I really like this attitude. Gregory, it's now the Beethoven year, his jubilee, which is from Corona, perhaps diminished a lot, but could we end this, speak a little bit about your recording of the Batman Sonata, and perhaps we could listen a little bit to it in the end.
Oh, absolutely. This is from a live performance of the last movement of the Kreutzer Sonata.
Also, your recording of the Amanda Meyer violin concerto. You was awarded the Hi-Fi magazine's record of the year, I think.
Yes.
Is right? Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it got a lot of attention here in Norway and also in Scandinavia. Can you tell us a little bit about Amanda Meyer, because I don't think everybody knows this name.
Yes, of course. Amanda Meyer was a Swedish 19th century composer, born in the very southern part of Sweden, and then moved to Germany to continue her studies, and ended up in Amsterdam. And attracted the attention of the likes of Brahms and Grieg, who were great admirers of her talent and of her abilities. So yes, it was a great honor to be able to record her violin concerto with the Helsingborg Orchestra, and to record her other works for violin as well. So yes, and especially that recording female composers, I think, is something that's coming more to light in this day and age.
I really want to hear some phrases from this concert also, if it's okay.
Oh, absolutely. This is from my recording with the orchestra.